A letter from the Supreme Court of Montana says due to COVID-19 concerns, lower-level inmates could be released from jail. I'm Cody Boyer. What that means for the county and what that means in general.
A Dillon restaurant is doing its part in the coronavirus fight by donating supplies to the local hospital.
6:29 on this Wednesday. So many positive stories of our community just chipping in and helping out where they can, trying to keep folks working and all that. I love that.
It's amazing.
Chet Lehman, Caitlin Corbett, Matt Elwell trying to do our part for you as well. We're here.
Social distancing.
And by the second, we're starting to disappear into the fog here.
Fog. It's pea soup in parts of southwest Montana. It's
that.
Beautiful. We're looking at the fog passing by the
sparklies is what you were calling it. Yeah.
Just like a glitter. Look at the fog this morning.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, in a foggy way.
In a very foggy way. Use caution.
Easy.
Turn on your lights, people. You'll be glad you did. You'll be able to see the snow and ice that's on the roadway and the other pedestrians and drivers that are out and about. Scattered snow and ice. We've had some accidents reported on Homestake Pass that has since been cleared. But use caution when you're driving. Temperatures are below freezing. We do have some fog out there. Freezing fog could be a big issue this morning. Visibility has not changed since we started the show at 5 a.m. this morning. Did you get that? 5 a.m.?
I remember,
5 a.m.
Yeah, I was here.
Half-mile visibility,
like
big timber. Looks like we're going to be dealing with off and on showers for the day. It looks like the morning will be a little quieter, but again, that fog is going to be our big issue for the early part of the day. It looks like off and on showers, mainly in the form of snow or rain-snow mix through the afternoon. We'll talk more about your forecast from out in the pea soup in just a few minutes.
That's perfect. You mentioned 5 o'clock for the foreseeable future. Montana This Morning begins at 5.
Yep.
We're on now for 2 hours, helping our network out, filling in that slot. So if you're up and about and you want to catch us, 5 to 7 now is our broadcast time for the foreseeable future.
We know you want that extra half hour of Montana This Morning. So
as do
5
we.
o'clock. Yes, as do
we.
we. All right. Well, here's what we know this morning about the latest coronavirus cases in this part of Montana.
Unfortunately, Gallatin County continues to lead the state. We added 3 more cases yesterday. We are now at 19. 1 new case added in Silver Bow County, which brings that total up to 3.
Yellowstone County added 1 more, which makes 8 there, and Jefferson County has had its first case. You can see other counties hit and the numbers on our website. The state's total is now 51 confirmed positive coronavirus cases as of yesterday afternoon. Thankfully, we have no deaths in Montana from the virus as of right now.
Staying on topic, Governor Steve Bullock making another update on the state's response to the coronavirus threat. Among other things, the governor is stressing the need for continued social distancing and extending the current closures for certain businesses and public schools.
Also, certainly have responsibilities as governor to ensure that we're taking the necessary measures at this time. That's why today I'll be extending the directives I've issued on school closures and on closures at dining restaurants, alcohol businesses, and other entities. The closures are in effect through April 10th. School districts should follow the planning guidance provided in our March 19th directive to seek waivers of pupil instruction time and obtain continued state funding during this period.
By the way, the governor also says healthcare providers in the state are preparing for an increase in patients.
6:32 now. The Supreme Court of Montana is responding to the coronavirus pandemic in its own way. Montana's Chief Justice sent a letter to all lower courts across the state asking them to release nonviolent inmates to prevent COVID-19 spread in correctional facilities. MTN's Cody Boyer breaks down what this means for Gallatin County.
It's a request from the Supreme Court of Montana that regards inmates, including here at the Gallatin County Detention Center, that has many scratching their heads. It requests lower courts across the state, including here, to review their inmate roster lists and release them due to COVID-19 concerns without bond. The letter comes from Chief Justice Mike McGrath. It reads, because of the high risk of transmittal of COVID-19, not only to prisoners within correctional facilities, but staff staff and defense attorneys as well, we ask that you review your jail rosters and release without bond as many prisoners as you are able to. The letter goes on to make it clear this would only mean nonviolent offenders, but what it doesn't make clear, how would this happen? I called and spoke with the Gallatin Law and Justice Center court administrator. He broke it down further. According to the order, this would mean that public defenders would have to take their clients' cases before a district court judge. If and only if the judge deems the person fitting of the description, a nonviolent offender charged with a misdemeanor, then the court would take into consideration their release. Back to the Chief Justice's letter. He notes to judges that there does not appear to be any outbreak of COVID-19 in any correctional facility, saying it is only a matter of time. Ending it with this. This is a challenging time, and we are all having to make some difficult decisions to keep our communities healthy. In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
And in other news from Gallatin County courts, the grandmother accused of kidnapping, torturing, and strangling her West Yellowstone grandson says she didn't do it. Patricia Batts pleaded not guilty to all 4 charges against her connected to the death of 12-year-old James Alexander Hurley in February. Batts and James Sasser Jr., Hurley's grandfather, were charged with deliberate homicide by association after investigators found Hurley dead on Batts' living room floor. The boy's 14-year-old uncle, James Sasser III, also charged with deliberate homicide, and his friend Gage Roush is charged with assault on a minor in connection to the case. And last week, Hurley's aunt, Madison Sasser, was arrested in Texas on a fugitive warrant. Batts' bail remains at $750,000.
6:35 now. Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks are closing to visitors because of the coronavirus pandemic. MTN's John Shear explains what the closure means.
The Park Service says the closures are effective immediately and that no visitor access will be permitted. A Facebook Live session that in part was to address the coronavirus issue was canceled at the last minute. Shortly after that, the shutdown announcement came. Most of the park is already closed for spring snow removal, but closing the gate in Gardner also shuts off access to the small communities of Silvergate and Cook City, seen here in video from last winter. Park Superintendent Cam Shawley says the North Gate will be staffed and people will be turned away.
We will be as flexible as possible in ensuring the residents food, fuel, you name it, are able to get to Cook City.
Shawley says the deciding factor in his decision was the request from local counties and communities to clamp down.
We are going to do everything possible to be ready to go as quickly as is safely possible with these communities once we come out of the other end of this.
In Bozeman, John Shearer, MTN News.
Time now is 6:36. Another closure news. The Fairmont Hot Springs Resort west of Butte announced it has temporarily laid off 148 workers as a result of the coronavirus. That decision made after a massive cancellations at the resort through April. Management said the resort will be staffed 24 hours a day during those layoffs.
Some positive news now. A restaurant in Dillon giving back to the community by donating supplies to the local hospital. MTN's John Amy paid a visit.
Many businesses in Montana have had to make sacrifices during this coronavirus outbreak, and Sparky's Garage Bar and Grill here in Dillon is no exception. But they've gone an extra step to help out their community. When management at this Dillon restaurant found out that Barrett Hospital and Healthcare needed supplies, they were quick to step up. The restaurant donated gloves and hand sanitizer to help the hospital make up for their short supply.
Restaurants going curbside, stuff like that's not a huge necessity right now, but making sure that our hospital's up and running is pretty important, so we were happy to help out.
The restaurant, like many other businesses in the region, are feeling an economic pinch due to the coronavirus, but they say it's important not to panic and to stick together.
It's hard, it's everyone's struggling, and I think right now everyone's kind of at a debate of if we're overreacting or underreacting, and I think right now we just kind of need to take care of each other and do what they're telling us to do and stay home and wash our hands and take care of each other. And then as soon as we can reopen, we'll reopen.
In Dillon, John Amy, MTN News.
I love that. By the way, Sparky's in Dillon still taking orders for pickup, but the Butte location is temporarily closed during this outbreak. Well, as we start another week, parents and guardians are trying to get work done at home while still keeping young ones occupied and trying to have some fun. We spoke with a mom YouTuber, Amanda Mushrow, who says when it comes to entertaining your kids, plan ahead.
My tip is think like a teacher, because teachers are geniuses, the way they run their classrooms, and I think that's sort of how we have to tackle this, breaking things up into smaller chunks throughout the day.
Good idea. Expect a table activity to only keep your kids interested for about 45 minutes, maybe not that long. Then they'll be ready for something else. Movies or shows can keep kids occupied a little longer, but Mushrow says before you turn on the TV, consider creating something like a homemade project, or a homemade projector, I should say. It will take up time and it will help your kids learn.
You just want to grab a box or a shoebox and a magnifying glass, and you're going to cut a hole in the front, pop in the magnifying glass. This is going to be your lens for your projector. Then take your phone, turn on a movie or a show, flip the phone upside down and place it in the box, and you have your projector. And now you need a screen. So I just took a sheet and I hung it up, and now we have an outdoor movie anywhere inside our house.
That's pretty cool. Mushrow says there are great ideas, detailed instructions for parents, all available, of course, on YouTube.
That is awesome. I would love to make a homemade projector.
It's a good idea.
Got to get a magnifying glass, though. I don't think we have one of those laying around.
We'll have to hunt around. I think I have one at home. Maybe I'll bring it in tomorrow.
There could be one here, too.
I'll look.
Maybe, somewhere in the station.
Maybe.
6:40 now. We're going to take a quick break, but when Montana This Morning continues, an agreement finally reached on a coronavirus aid package, and you can expect some relief on the way. That's what's ahead, and here's what's coming up on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, financial help. Have you heard? It's on the way. We will break down the roughly $2 trillion rescue package, what it means for individual Americans and businesses, too. We'll also take a look at the field hospitals and new medical facilities starting to pop up around the country, plus the very difficult decision that pregnant women need to make on where they want their babies to be born right now. And this is fun. We're going to talk to actor Kevin Bacon about his I Stay at Home For challenge. Have you heard about this? To encourage social distancing. Go Kevin Bacon. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.